if you roll out a plan where you give the sellers two options, where you can basically say, okay, you choose one quota or another quota, but one quota is going to have a pay curve that's very punitive on the bottom end, and it's not going to pay as much on the higher end. Versus if you choose a higher quota, you kind of get compensated both ways. And right away, you can kind of set sense, right, from how many of your reps choose one way or another, if there's an issue. I don't know if you guys have seen that or kind of firsthand, or if you have thoughts on that, because I think it's not done very often from what we see.
We did that as a test in a company a couple of prior companies ago. And it was really interesting, sort of the risk profile of the sellers and what they were willing to engage in for that higher level potential upside. And sort of just the human behavior around it more than anything. But in that case, we actually saw quite the mix of people accepting on both sides of that plan. And the targets were actually, we felt pretty attainable. And people said that they largely felt that they were attainable, but there was just a very different risk profile. And so there was a lot of conversation around, what's the seller profile that we actually want in those roles, and what level of risk are they willing to accept.
Yeah, we actually, I don't know if you guys do this. We actually have rate tables. So two reps have the same, they're on the same plan. But if I'm an, enterprise rep that has a huge book of business and I have to grow, 5 million, and I'm an SMB rep that has to grow 1 million, based off the size of the book of business, we actually tweak the rate table. So the excellence point for the rep with the smaller quota is the slope is a bit less steep, but it starts a little bit later. And then for the one with the bigger quota, it's a bit steeper and a bit earlier because you're compensating for the fact that it is harder to grow, larger book of business on that side. There's always like tweaks we kind of do on the rate table side when we're thinking about that. So we don't peanut butter spread for the SMB and enterprise reps.
And I think one of the questions came up around like, how do you use the data on like which choice a rep makes if you're giving them an option between one quota and another and vice versa. I mean, these are all things where in of themselves, in that moment, it's not that powerful. But over time, tracking at a territory level, at a rep level, these decisions that they make and seeing that pattern, well, if you do that multiple years in a row and you all of a sudden see the same person that's been choosing the high quota every year, all of a sudden deviate, that could be a sign that, okay, something's off. And I think that's, so it goes back to kind of thinking about the reps are the end customer.